In all of your videos, you're just giving the dog or puppy a bunch of treats. How about training without rewards? Or, this would be great if my dog is food motivated, but he's not. How can I train my dog if he doesn't care about food? Now, these are common questions that I'm often asked, and it's understandable considering people don't want to carry around treats all the time when they're with their dog. But first, it's essential to know that everything our dogs do is based on motivation. They're either motivated to access something pleasant, motivated to prevent something unpleasant, or the behavior itself is fun, which is known as a self-reinforcing behavior. Whenever we're training our dogs, we have 4 different motivational tools that we can use to get our dogs to do a behavior: food, toy, affection, and force. If you don't ever want to use food or toys, then you have 2 options when it comes to training our dogs. That would be avoidance training. This is when the dog goes into a commanded position to avoid a correction. Or you have escape training. This is where the dog goes into a position to turn off pressure. Leash pressure training could be an example of this. Once the dog completes the behavior, you then release the pressure, praise, and pet them if you weren't going to be using toys or food. Now, you can train a dog with either one of these options, but it would not be the ideal process. Preferably, you want to use balanced training, which is not only the most effective, it also produces the most well-balanced dogs. Keep in mind that when we ask our dogs to perform a command, they're doing it for one of 3 reasons. Either A, it may predict a reward that the dog is willing to work for. B, they know that they will be forced to do the behavior if they don't do it on their own. Or C, they know they will receive a correction if they do not comply. Now, we want our dogs to want to work because of the possibility of a reward. Before moving on, if your dog isn't willing to work for food, then you want to increase their food drive. Most dogs' low food motivation is caused by a few things. Either the dog has been overfed, free-fed, given very high value food such as cooked steak, or sometimes just feeding out of a bowl can cause this. As a side effect, the dog isn't interested in food as a reward. A common technique is to simply make your dog work for every bite of food. No more handouts. For this, you'll want to use mealtime as training time. You bring the dog out, you offer him food to train. If the dog's not interested, no big deal. Put them away and try again at dinner. Again, if the dog is not interested, no big deal. Put the dog away, don't give him any more food, and try again the next day. Continue to do this until your dog is willing to work for the food. Be sure not to give the dog any food between the training. Your dog has to know that they're only going to get food that they work for. Now, I've done this technique on dozens of dogs and it's worked every time. Now, in most of my training videos, I use what's known as continual reinforcement. This is when we reward every correct repetition, which is ideal whenever we're teaching a dog a new behavior. However, once the dog starts to do the behavior on the command alone, meaning no more help with the physical cues such as luring or leash pressure, then we can start spacing out the rewards. Allow me to break down the most proven process for getting a dog to obey commands even without any rewards in sight. First, we need to condition our dog to their markers. If you want a full understanding of markers, then check out my marker dog training and the 4 quadrants of opera conditioning video, as well as engagement training with a collie puppy video. Once conditioned, you want to start practicing free shaping. This is when you don't have anything in mind that you want your dog to perform, but when they do something that you like, you mark and reward that behavior. For example, you have rewards hidden in your pocket that your dog's unaware of, and your dog goes to their bed. You like this behavior, so you say yes, or whatever your marker is, then you give your dog a treat. Or your dog looks at you, again you mark and reward. Or your dog just lays down, again we mark and reward. Now, our dogs did not see the reward, but their behavior made it appear. What this does is it helps create a proactive or an operant dog, which means a dog that understands that their behavior has an effect on their environment. It also makes our dog believe that we're a treat dispenser, that we always have something of value, even if we don't. This way, when we ask our dogs to perform a behavior in the future, even if we don't have rewards on us, our dogs will comply. Next is spacing out rewards during training. I've mentioned this in other videos, but it's worth discussing again. When teaching a new command or behavior, you can follow a 3-stage process. Stage 1 is when we're still having to present a physical cue to get our dog to do a behavior, such as having to lure our dogs to get them into the down position. When on this stage, we are using continual reinforcement. So every single completed repetition, we're going to pay our dog. Once a dog starts to perform the behavior on the command alone, meaning you no longer have to use the lure, for example, then we move on to stage 2. During this stage, when your dog completes a behavior, you will either mark and reward as before, or you'll provide verbal praise, but no reward. After working on this stage for a few weeks or more, then you're going to move on to stage 3. When your dog does the behavior correctly, you will now either do one of 3 options. A, mark and reward. B, verbal praise. Or C, you'll say nothing at all. Once you get to this stage, you'll slowly do less and less of option A and B. However, you'll still want to keep rewarding your dog randomly, just not as often. They have to always believe that there is a possibility that they'll be rewarded. If you stop paying your dog entirely, then eventually your dog will stop working for you. Following this process will give you and your dog the success that you're looking for, and you'll have a dog that is happy and willing to work with you in any of your dog training endeavors. I hope everyone enjoyed today's episode. Please like and subscribe. If you need one-on-one help, I do offer Zoom training sessions. All that information will be in the description of this video. Thank you again, and I will see everyone in next week's video.